Hello, I'm a woman in my 30s, who almost ruined my life right after registering my marriage. Before I got married, I just thought that, as long as my husband and I loved each other and lived well together, that was the end of it. When older people around me said that marriage wasn't just an issue for the couple, but a joining of two families, I heard those words as mere nagging. But once I actually registered the marriage, I realized with a vengeance why those words were the absolute truth. Marriage is not simply sustained by love alone. Two people who grew up in different environments, becoming one family turned out to be more difficult than I had imagined, and my husband and I, having grown up in vastly different circumstances, faced even greater challenges. The story I'm sharing with you today is about how my husband and I, who lived opposite lives, truly became a family. Let's start the story. First, my parents are self-made people who built up our family business from scratch. Both of my parents grew up in difficult environments, and couldn't even finish school properly, but with sheer perseverance and responsibility, they paved their own path. My parents ran a large-scale recycling and eco-energy business, though others might look down on it a little. To our family, it was a respectable workplace where my mother and father dedicated their youth. Dad, your head is full of dust. Let me brush it off for you. Was it busy today? Thanks, my daughter, Yuna. The recycling business is always like this, but it gives me strength when my daughter takes care of me like this. I always respected my hardworking parents, yet at the same time, I felt a sense of pity. Thanks to my parents' diligence, the recycling facility gradually expanded into a sizable enterprise. It wasn't a small-scale operation driving a tiny truck around the neighborhood, but a respectable company dealing with large-scale waste disposal, through contracts with local governments and large corporations. However, there were sometimes people who, unaware of our scale, would mock me, saying our family ran a junk business. Once, when I was in high school, a classmate gave me a dented pencil case and a used notebook. Yuna, it was your birthday a while ago, right? Here, take this. It's a gift. I'm giving it to you because I thought you might need it. Why are you giving this to me? It looks unusable. Your family runs a junk business, right? Don't you take and sell this kind of trash. I'm giving it to you out of consideration, so if you need anything else, just ask. After that, she openly looked down on my family in front of my other friends. At the time, I should have refuted her clearly, but being young, I couldn't say anything and went home and cried my eyes out. Dad, can't you do something other than the recycling business? My friends keep teasing me to go pick up scrap paper. Oh, who says such mean things? I'm sorry, my daughter. You must be very embarrassed because of your dad. My father must have been heartbroken, yet he apologized to me. Seeing that, my heart ached even more. It was then that I swore to succeed, so that my family would never be looked down upon. My parents' business continued to thrive over time, but they remained frugal and never spent a single penny on themselves. Even as the business grew and clients increased, my father still drove his old truck, and my mother wore the same work clothes she had for over 10 years. Dad, this is a gift. I got something for Mom too. Since you two always wear those old work clothes, I bought you some new clothes at the department store. Now please take care of your health and wear nice clothes. Oh, why do I need clothes? But I did want to do something for your mother, and my daughter. You knew exactly what was on my mind. I'll wear them well. Thank you, my daughter. My parents loved the clothes I bought them. However, they only wore them about once a year, and they are still hanging in the closet. Thanks to my parents' frugality, I was able to safely graduate from university, and get a good job at a reputable company. I, too, grew up watching my parents save diligently, so I naturally became a frugal person. I was so meticulous and careful with my savings, that my friends would jokingly call me a cheapskate. Hey, do you know why Yuna doesn't date? It's because she doesn't want to spend money on dates. If she goes out to eat, she'll have to pay for coffee. No, I think she doesn't want to buy new clothes or cosmetics for dating. Yuna, you tell us, what are you lacking to be single like this? My friends often teased me, saying I didn't date because I was a cheapskate, but of course, I did date a few times before meeting my husband. However, every man I met would find fault with me or my family. Once the relationship deepened to a certain extent, judging by the way you dress, I can tell how hard your parents are living. Plus, they run a junk business. I don't think we can get married. That's funny. Who said I wanted to marry you? My family also opposes me marrying someone as vain as you. At first, they liked that I was frugal, but when they thought about the future, they wanted a more respectable family. Thanks to this, I remained single until my mid-30s. Then, through a friend's introduction, I met my current husband, June. June was also frugal like me, and our values matched very well. Meeting June, I felt like I had finally found my other half. June, I brought a lunchbox. Shall we eat at the park? I'm tired of eating out at restaurants all the time. You must be busy with work, but when did you prepare this? We really are two of a kind. I brought coffee from home. It would be perfect to have your lunchbox with my coffee, right? We often enjoyed picnic dates and loved cycling or taking walks in the park. I had a feeling that living with June, whose tastes were so similar to mine, would be a joy forever. Of course, June felt the same way, and we promised to marry after just 1 year of dating. Before the marriage, June insisted on setting aside time to tell me something very seriously. Yuna, I felt I absolutely had to tell you what kind of family I come from before we get married. The truth is, the story June revealed was about his family history. My parents don't know how to save and just spend everything they earn. That's why they are still living in a rented monthly apartment at their age. And although I'm currently helping them with living expenses, if you don't like it, I won't give them any financial help after we get married. According to June, his mother, Madam Park, was particularly vain and extravagant. He said that having grown up under such a mother all his life, he had become even more frugal and planned in his life. Thank you for telling me first, June. I think it's right for us to give our parents on both sides some allowance and help them if they are ever in trouble, within our means. So, you don't have to feel too sorry. It's natural for us as children to take care of both sets of parents. Thank you for saying that. I promise I will be a wonderful son-in-law to your parents. From the first time he met my parents, June treated them like his own. My parents were also very fond of him. Our future son-in-law. I heard he is frugal and hardworking. Unlike young people these days, it makes me feel secure seeing you and Yuna sitting here together, even after you get married and live together. Don't change your hearts and trust and cherish each other. Yes, Father, and this is my gift. I really wanted to thank you for raising Yuna into such a good person, and accepting me as your son-in-law. June, who usually lived very frugally, gifted my parents a high-end limited edition watch. My father loved it, saying it was the first time he had ever received such a fine gift. Thank you, son-in-law. We are truly living a life of luxury thanks to you. But next time, how about a simple pork belly with soju? That sounds great, Father. I'm actually a big fan of soju too. After that, June often took my parents out to enjoy pork belly and soju. Sometimes, he would even take them to a fancy restaurant, wanting to treat them to good food. I also felt I should take as good care of June's parents, so I bought a beautiful silk scarf when I went to greet my in-laws for the first time. Oh, what is this scarf? It's really beautiful. I didn't know our daughter-in-law had such good taste. I'll definitely wear it to my class reunion and brag that my daughter-in-law gave it to me. This gift is perfect for me. Our daughter-in-law is earning major points right from the start. My in-laws seemed happy with my gift, and treated me very kindly from the first meeting. To be honest, I was a little surprised that Madam Park's clothes were so luxurious, at a level that would put a wealthy lady to shame. Even though the in-laws' house was the small, rented monthly apartment June had mentioned, still, I was relieved that she thought well of me. After a smooth first greeting, We gathered both sets of parents for a formal meeting shortly after. My father showed up wearing a very old, though clean, suit from a bygone era. Look at him. I told him to buy new clothes, but he just wouldn't listen to me. Do you know how old that suit is? The clothes are clean, that's what matters. Why throw away perfectly good clothes? How do I look? Is it okay? Knowing what kind of person my father was, I just smiled and let it pass. June also smiled, saying my father was charming. However, there was one person at the potentially cheerful meeting who didn't smile. That was my mother-in-law, Madam Park. In-law, even though you're frugal, for a formal meeting, your attire is a bit too much. That suit looks like it's over 30 years old. This isn't the 70s who wears clothes like that. And look at your shoes, they're completely worn out. You should have at least bought a new pair for an occasion like this. Even if you're frugal, shouldn't you observe proper etiquette? You run a recycling business, so do you only wear clothes like that? Madam Park openly criticized my father for his old clothes. She must have thought that because we ran a recycling business, we just picked up scrap paper. Speaking of which, don't you dare call our son to work at your recycling business. Our June only knows how to study and was raised very gently. I never made him do any hard work. Madam Park's comments instantly froze the atmosphere of the meeting, which had been filled with friendly exchanges until then. I was so flustered and upset that I was speechless for a moment. My parents were also extremely embarrassed. But then, my husband, June, offered a satisfying counterattack. Mother, I think my father-in-law looks very stylish. These kinds of classic suits are back in fashion these days, and it's clearly a designer brand suit. It's much cooler to take good care of a designer suit like that, and wear it for a long time. A person who is as naturally stylish as my father-in-law looks good, no matter what they wear. When June openly sided with my father, Madam Park pouted and could not find any more faults. Thanks to June, the atmosphere eventually lightened, and the meeting ended on a relatively good note, but a lingering feeling of unease remained. June continued to be mindful of our feelings, worried that my family was still bothered. Father, Mother, I apologize on behalf of my mother for what she said earlier. My mother isn't a bad person at heart, but she sometimes makes mistakes. I will talk to her privately and tell her not to do that. So I hope you weren't too hurt. My father, in turn, expressed gratitude to June for his constant concern. Hurt? Not at all. We are used to things like this, so we're fine. It seems you're the one who was surprised. I'm okay, so don't worry about it. After the meeting ended, we officially began preparing for the wedding. Since we live in the provinces, housing prices were cheaper than in Seoul. But we still exceeded our budget trying to find a decent place to live. So, we planned to combine our money and take out a loan for the rest. However, when my father heard we were looking into a loan, he willingly offered to lend us the money. How could I charge you interest? You don't need any interest, I'll lend you that money. Pay it back whenever you have the means later. Really? Oh, Dad, thank you. We will save diligently and pay back that money as soon as possible. Thanks to my father, my husband, and I were able to secure our newlywed home safely. My in-laws offered no assistance, citing a lack of money. But then, one day, my mother-in-law's attitude suddenly changed. Oh, you should have told me sooner. Your in-laws are that wealthy. They have 2 large buildings in the provinces, and it's not just a junk business, but a mid-sized corporation. You wouldn't believe how surprised I was when June told me that, since your in-laws are so well off, we don't need to do anything for your family, right? It turned out that June had told his mother what kind of family I came from. I just told Mother the truth. She kept looking down on Father and Mother, so I told her not to. I didn't want Mother to keep misunderstanding and making verbal mistakes. June told his mother that we were able to secure our new home without a loan, thanks to my father, and that my family was not as struggling as she thought. He praised them, saying they donated a lot of money at the end of the year. and were very diligent and hardworking, a far cry from his family's situation. However, this backfired, and after that, Madam Park started talking about money every time she saw me. If it weren't for Mr. Park, I wouldn't be living like this. It's all because I married the wrong man. You should be glad you married a good husband. Our June is a prime husband material, isn't he? So, you should be grateful to us, your in-laws. I don't need to say it, but I expect you to take good care of us. A daughter from a wealthy family surely has that much to spare. Madam Park would sit me down every day, and badmouth my father-in-law, detailing the troubles he caused. If I only listened to her. My father-in-law was a very bad person who was always drinking and gambling. I couldn't see my father-in-law often, since he was always busy, but hearing Madam Park's constant complaints, I felt a slight sense of resentment towards him too. However, Madam Park's attitude continued to embarrass me, regardless of my feelings about my father-in-law. Daughter-in-law, I'm at the hair salon now, can you come here for a moment? I want to introduce you because you're so pretty. After hearing that my family was well off, Madam Park's perspective on me completely changed. She started demanding money from me, always calling me our daughter-in-law. One day, she called me to a beauty salon, and the first thing she did was ask me to buy her a luxury spa and wellness club membership for 500,000 won. They say if you buy a membership here, you get a 30% discount. You can pay for it, right? Thank you, my daughter-in-law. Not only that, but one day she also called me to pick her up, saying she had drunk too much. With a sense of dread, I drove to the restaurant where Madam Park was. Sure enough, Madam Park and her friends were all sitting there. Oh, my daughter-in-law is here. Do you know how generous my daughter-in-law is? She's paying the bill here today, right, dear? Madam Park winked at me and then left with her friends. I ended up paying the bill for that gathering and heading home. I finally had enough and told my husband the truth. Honey, we are giving both sets of parents an equal allowance of 300,000 won, but I don't know what to do because your mother keeps asking me for money. The hair salon and nail shop membership alone cost 800,000 won. She has also called me out to her gatherings several times to pay the bill. June was surprised by what I said, and immediately paid me back all the money I had spent on his mother. I hadn't told him to get the money back, so I just felt constantly upset. Madam Park, whether she knew how I felt, or not, continued to ask me to buy her this and that. She had many wants. June's younger sister, my sister-in-law, knew about this and called me. Sister-in-law, if our mom asks you to buy something, or asks for money, absolutely don't do it. It will become a habit, for sure. If she pushes you too hard, please contact June or me. It seemed Madam Park also received a lot of nagging about money issues from June and my sister-in-law, yet, the habit did not seem to be corrected. Thanks to Madam Park, the first year after our wedding passed in a blur. Then, an unexpected gift came to us. I was pregnant with our child. June jumped up and down on the spot, his eyes welling up with tears. Honey, thank you so much. We are finally going to be a mom and a dad? I can't believe it. Our baby is in here, right? Can you hear your dad? I am your dad. The baby is only a few months old. How could it hear? But I'm happy you're so joyful. Let's really become good parents. Oh, wait, now is the time to do the homework we've been postponing. At that time, June and I hadn't officially registered our marriage. We had been so busy after the wedding, and we were a bit lazy, thinking we would do it sometime later. Also, it's a trend these days to register marriage late. With a happy heart, I held June's hand and headed to the district office. We are finally a real family now. And with our baby on the way, let's live even happier with our new family member. June held my hand tightly and spoke. I felt choked up and agreed. Yes, we are truly a family now. And June is truly my husband. At that moment, I regretted why we had postponed something so happy. We simultaneously shared the good news of registering our marriage and having a baby with both sets of parents. Mom, Dad, we finally registered our marriage. And don't be surprised I'm pregnant, I'm 3 months along now. What? Is that true? I was worried about why you hadn't registered your marriage yet, but finally, all the homework is done, and now we have a grandchild too. What better news could there be? Come home right now, bring June with you, we should have a celebration party together today. My parents immediately called us home, cooked us a wonderful dinner, and even gave us pocket money to congratulate us. You will soon learn how difficult it is to be a parent. If you've only done things that made you happy until now, from now on, you must only think about what makes the whole family happy and joyful. That is what a parent and a family are. Yes, Father, I will engrave those words in my heart. Even though the baby is small in this person's stomach, I already feel a sense of responsibility. I also think I should be very good to my family. He's going to be a completely doting father once the baby is born. You're right, my son-in-law, you will definitely be a good husband and a good father, just as my side of the family rejoiced. The in-laws were also very happy and congratulated us. However, their celebration was a little different from my family's. Daughter-in-law, you are finally our family too. You are finally a daughter-in-law of the In family. I was worried about what you were thinking, living together without registering your marriage. I hope you fulfill your duties as a daughter-in-law from now on. Madam Park seemed happy not just because we registered the marriage, but because she could now officially treat me like a daughter-in-law. Then, one day, Madam Park called, crying hysterically. Something terrible has happened. Something terrible. Mr. Park is unreachable. Even though he often stayed out, he has never been unreachable like this. What if something happened to him? My father-in-law was never usually home, but one day, he completely cut off contact and disappeared. Madam Park, checking the drawer in the master bedroom, found that my father-in-law had taken the in-laws' meager assets and absconded. The in-laws' house was turned upside down. My sister-in-law, who lives far away, also came down to the in-laws' house and blamed her father. How little money did we have that he took even that? Honestly, he's my father, but this is too much. Oh my, how will I live now? We didn't have much to begin with. What are we going to eat and live on? Madam Park cried, pounding the floor, but kept glancing at me out of the corner of her eye. I wasn't oblivious, so I offered her a small sum of money, though not a large amount. Mother, please use this money for living expenses until we find father. We send you an allowance every month, so it won't be completely impossible to live. Oh, thank you, but how much did you put in? Only this much? I don't know if we can survive on this, but thank you anyway. Madam Park seemed quiet for a while after that incident, but before long, she quickly regained her strength, and started calling me out again. Hey, daughter-in-law, how is your body? You can still walk around, right? Then, I have somewhere to go with you, so come out. I'll send you the address, so come over. Other daughters-in-law drive all the way to their in-laws' house to pick up their mother-in-law, but I'm letting you off because you're pregnant. Where else would you find a mother-in-law like this? I reluctantly went out, thinking she was going to make me spend money again, but the place Madam Park called me to was in front of a real estate agency. Hello, this is my daughter-in-law, the house I mentioned before. We are looking for a new apartment. If you have any good listings, show them to us. Our grandchild is about to be born. How can a grandmother live in a dilapidated old villa? A spacious apartment is better for the kids to come and stay. Madam Park spent a long time demanding various things from the realtor, and then urged me to look at the houses with her. I wondered what money Madam Park had to be looking at houses. Madam Park seemed very excited, looking around this house and that, completely ignoring my stunned expression. Living in a 30-pyong apartment is definitely better, isn't it? Oh, look at that view. It has trees in front. It's so pretty. I am living a life of luxury thanks to my daughter-in-law. Excuse me, do you have a bigger house than this? A 40-pyong place would be nice too. Madam Park sat down at the real estate office and received consultation for a long time, as if she was going to sign a contract immediately. Unable to hold back my uneasy feelings, I asked Madam Park as soon as we left the real estate office, "Mother, are you moving? But you haven't heard from Father for long. What money do you have to move?" "The house we saw was worth 500 million won. Don't worry. That's why I'm looking for a full security deposit rental, gents, for your sake." "Oh my, anyone would think I'm asking you to buy a new house. You've registered your marriage and are having a baby now. You have to fulfill your duties as a daughter-in-law. I can't keep living in a rented monthly villa, so give me a rental house as a gift for raising my son, well, and sending him off to marriage. You getting married and pregnant at that age is all thanks to me, raising my son well and marrying him off. So, be grateful and act like a proper daughter-in-law." Madam Park brazenly told me to get her a rental house, as if it were a matter of course. I was so flabbergasted, but I refused her flat out. "Mother, where do I have that much money? As you heard from June, my father only helped us secure our new home. How could I get a house for you?" "I'm sorry, but that's impossible." I thought that if I explained it well enough, Madam Park would back down. However, after that, Madam Park tried so hard to change my mind. "Daughter-in-law, I bought your favorite Korean sausage and rice cake soup. I'm the only mother-in-law who buys things like this for you, right?" "Mother, I have severe morning sickness these days, and the smell of the sausage is a bit." Madam Park bought me unwanted snacks, trying to be nice, and even came to my house to run the washing machine. "Mother, did you mix all the laundry here and run the washing machine?" "Yes, I did. I did the laundry. The daughter-in-law is supposed to do the laundry, so don't be too touched." "No, that's not it. We separate socks, towels, and worn clothes to wash them, and it seems you mixed them all without separating the colors." But Madam Park's efforts were not helpful to me, perhaps thinking that method didn't work. Madam Park then openly harassed and clung to me until I was completely fed up. "Yuna, I really want to move into that house. I can't possibly live alone in this house now. Your family is wealthy with 2 large buildings. This is nothing to them. Are you going to ignore your mother-in-law when she asks you like this?" "Mother, I'm not ignoring you. I really don't have the money. I'm having a baby soon. Where would I get that much money? If you keep doing this, it's too much pressure." However, Madam Park continued to send me texts every morning, sometimes praising me, and sometimes scolding me. It was chaos. June also knew this and called his mother, telling her absolutely not to do it, but Madam Park kept arguing with him. One day, when Madam Park called, I raised my voice a little as soon as I answered the phone. "Mother, I don't know about it, so if you want to move, then move. I won't stop you. If you want to go so badly, you should go." "Really? You really want me to move?" "Yes, do as you please. Instead, please don't call me anymore. I'm so stressed out that I worry about the baby in my stomach." All right, I'll take care of the preparations. You don't have to worry about a thing, just focus on your prenatal care." I never imagined that Madam Park would take my words literally. I just told her to do as she pleased because I was so annoyed, but Madam Park seemed to have interpreted it as me agreeing to help her. A few days later, she called with a very excited voice. "It's me. I put down the deposit today." They wanted 10% for the contract deposit, but I begged them, saying I'd sign the contract soon, and I put down a temporary deposit of $10 million, $7,500. The more I look at that house, the more I love it. When you have time, why don't we go look at appliances? A new house needs new appliances to match. Madam Park had put down a $10 million temporary deposit without my permission, and was now insisting that I cover the rest. When did I ever promise that? You called me nonstop, stressing me out while I was pregnant, so I told you to do whatever you wanted. What? You can't do this. I put down $10 million after scraping together all the money I had. What should I do? If you back out now, If we cancel the contract, I'll lose that money. You have a well-off family. If you can't, talk to your parents." At that point, she couldn't get angry anymore and started pleading and crying. She even brought up my parents, insisting that I take responsibility immediately. "I told you, didn't I? I am still paying back the money I borrowed from my father, and we are on a tight budget just to make a living for our new family. And why is my father's money my money? Just because my father is rich doesn't mean I am rich. Why did you covet such an expensive apartment? I never imagined you would put down a temporary deposit when nothing was certain. Anyway, I can't help you. I truly didn't have that much money, even if I wanted to help her get the house." I just said those words and hung up the phone. Then, Madam Park, feeling desperate, even went to my parents' house. My mother cautiously told me that Madam Park had visited, and I was absolutely stunned. "A while ago, the other in-law came and talked about that apartment. She said you had promised to help her, and were now holding back the money, causing her trouble. She even brought me canned tuna." "Canned tuna? Why would she bring canned tuna when it's not even a holiday?" "Mom, I'll take care of this problem, so please absolutely do not lend her money or help her." I firmly warned my mother and father not to help her. Even after that, Madam Park persistently looked for me, clung to me, and even lay down on the ground, demanding I help her. "You shouldn't betray me like this. Because of you, I'm about to lose 10 million won. That's all the money I have." "Mother, when did I betray you? What you are doing now is much more horrible to me. Please, if you are an adult, act like an adult. What is this, if not a child begging for allowance? And honestly, what have you ever done for me until now? My family even helped with our house, but you and father didn't even give us an engagement ring." I didn't complain even then. "But is it right for you to look down on my family for running a recycling business, and now demand money?" Look at her words. "How dare you try to teach your mother-in-law? I asked you for money, so now you think I'm easy. And how did you manage to manipulate our son that June doesn't even answer my calls now? Will you only be satisfied after you completely separate me from my son? I shouldn't have been happy that you registered your marriage. I should have told you not to do it." Madam Park went so far as to bring up our marriage. June was extremely angry at his mother and shouted at her never to visit again. "Mother, you caused this problem, so you should solve it. Either take out a loan or give up the deposit, but take care of it yourself. What did Yuna do wrong? We are so sorry we can't pay back the interest on the money we borrowed from father-in-law, and you are harassing her for money. I am truly embarrassed I can't even face my in-laws." June completely chased away Madam Park, who kept coming to our house. He even asked the apartment security guard not to let her near our house if she showed up. Around that time, my father-in-law, who had disappeared, returned to the in-laws' house, and a huge fight broke out when he found out about the trouble Madam Park had caused. "What money did you have to put down a deposit for a house like that? Do you have any common sense or not? Is this why I didn't want to come home? Why are you yelling at me when you didn't do anything right either? The only husband I have runs away with all the money, so I was just trying to find a way to save myself." My father-in-law, who had returned, was also broke and had nowhere to go, and suddenly, both of them were on the verge of moving into an expensive house they couldn't afford. In the end, my in-laws, not wanting to lose the 10 million won, took out a full security deposit loan and borrowed money from here and there to move into that house. However, they are fighting every day because they can't handle the massive amount of interest. How much is the interest on this house? We can't move out right away. How are we going to pay the interest every month? Should we just lose the 10 million won? You wanted this house, so you have to handle the cost together. Why are you yelling at me to pay the interest alone? I think Madam Park's inability to give up that temporary deposit was sheer greed. Coveting such a house was a problem in the first place, but because of the temporary deposit, she ended up having to pay a substantial amount of interest. Madam Park is now working at a restaurant to cover the loan interest. Oh, what kind of fate is this that I have to endure because of a bad daughter-in-law? My arms, legs, and back hurt all over from working at the restaurant. Oh, my miserable life. I suffer all this because my daughter-in-law tricked me. Mother, please speak correctly. When did I ever trick you? Isn't it a good thing that you met a good daughter-in-law, so you can now lead a social life and earn money? I actually think I did well, giving Madam Park a new life, but she doesn't seem to see it that way. These days, my innocent husband keeps apologizing to me like a sinner. Honey, I am really sorry. My mother is giving you a lot of trouble, isn't she? No matter how many times I tell her not to contact you, she keeps doing it. No, you don't have anything to apologize for. I heard father-in-law also got a job recently. I'm actually happy because I think both of your parents are living a much better life than before. It seems Madam Park was even harder on my father-in-law than she was complaining to me. She must have lashed out at him every time they met, blaming him for working at the restaurant and paying the interest. Because of this, my father-in-law, who was once a loafer, now works at a factory, earning 1.5 million a month. At this point, I think I have completely overhauled my in-laws, who used to always depend on others for a living. June and I have completely cut off the allowance, because they are working hard to earn money now. Until then, we had been sending 300,000 equally to both sets of parents, but my father is saving that money separately to give to our grandchild later. Honey, about the allowance we were giving your parents, I think it would be better to cut it off completely now. I feel like mother is still relying on that money, and she's made so many mistakes with you that I hope she changes her mindset entirely. It was my husband who first suggested cutting off the allowance to his parents. You can imagine how much Madam Park harassed us for it to come to this. Madam Park was so resentful of working at the restaurant that she even swore at me, who was pregnant, and even sent me curses late at night. I'll see how well you live. I'll see how rich your father gets selling junk. How much money with that dust is worth for you to look down on people like this. June saw all the texts Madam Park sent me, and that's why he couldn't stand it anymore and decided to cut off the allowance. When we cut off the allowance, Madam Park completely stopped contacting us and treated us as if we didn't exist. How long did this last? About a year later, Madam Park, who had been out of contact, reached out for the first time during the Chuseok holiday. Hello, it's me. How come you haven't contacted me for a year? You said you had a baby, right? You are really a tough one. I wonder if there is any other daughter-in-law in the world like you. I gave birth around Chuseok, and Madam Park used that as an excuse to contact me subtly. I called because I wanted to see my grandchild, not you. Why would I contact you when I'm afraid of my daughter-in-law? But I still need to see my grandchild. Even now, Madam Park occasionally contacts me, and I sometimes go to the in-laws' house to show her the baby. Madam Park always complains whenever she sees me. Look at the water blisters on my hands. They make me wash dishes so much at the restaurant. Oh, my pretty hands are full of blisters, and the wrinkles on my hands have increased. Mother, I think your hands look even more dignified now. They are like a badge of honor for working hard. If we hadn't been so firm, you would still be relying on your children. All right, you win. I can't say a word because of your clever answers. You'll raise your child to be just as smart. Madam Park still grumbles, but she seems much better than before. My sister-in-law is amazed, always asking me how I managed to fix her mother. I honestly thought our mom would never change. But thanks to you, sister-in-law, she's a completely different person. I'm not sending her an allowance these days, and she doesn't even ask for it. Mom has even lost weight while working, and her health has improved. She lost 7 kilograms. She was overweight before, so it's a good thing. My sister-in-law jokingly tells Madam Park to work harder. Of course, Madam Park flares up every time. Do you really want to see your mother collapse? You are siding with your sister-in-law, the daughter-in-law, instead of your own mother. Whenever I see Madame Park like this, I just smile these days. Sometimes, when Madame Park is angry and flares up, she even seems a little cute. I had many difficult and upsetting days with Madame Park, but I tried to think positively, considering my husband's position, and now I have the calmness to meet Madame Park with a light heart. What can I do? No matter how much I disliked her, she is the mother of the husband I love. The reason my heart is so at peace is also thanks to June's efforts. Actually, a while ago, my father hurt his back while working, and was hospitalized for a while. I couldn't go to the hospital right away because I had to take care of the baby, but June was the first to rush there. "Father, how is your back? I heard you were hurt and took a half day off work to come right away. What did the doctor say?" "No, I'll go meet the doctor right now." "No, June, I'm fine. They said I'll be fine with a few days of treatment in the hospital. I feel like I'm already all better, because my son-in-law cares about me so much. Please just lie still, Father. Tell me if you need anything. You absolutely must not strain yourself for a while." Seeing things like this, my husband is definitely a 100-point husband and a 100-point son-in-law, right? Even now, June only thinks about my father's health. Father-in-law is my life role model. He is such a great man to his family and his children. I wish I could grow old just like my father-in-law. I also praise June, who always says my father is his role model, saying he is the best husband. Although we had conflicts with Madame Park for a year, we wisely overcame that difficulty. Marriage is about two people meeting and forming a family, but once you decide to live as a family, there are always countless variables and trials. Sometimes, the family we trusted the most shakes our peace, or gives us tearful, hurtful wounds. But in those times, we must trust each other and solve things rationally. These days, I am determined to always be on my husband's and child's side, no matter what happens. I was upset with Mother because she only said she considered me family, but she never truly acknowledged me as family. The money issue was one of those things. So, for our child growing up, instead of hoping for or relying on something from them, I want to think about what I, as a parent, can do for them first. I feel the same way. It's the same for our child and the same for both sets of parents. If I first think about what I can do for them, I think there will be no fights. In life, unexpected things are bound to happen, and sometimes emotions get ahead of us, but in the end, what remains is the heart that walks in the same direction. Isn't the reason June and I are still a happy couple that we are looking in the same direction? Now that I've had a child, I feel like I finally understand what a true marriage is, respecting each other's families and holding hands together, even through difficulties. I think that is love and the meaning of marriage. I am still a beginner mom, but I will try to live well without ever forgetting this feeling. Thank you so much for listening to my long story.